Welcome all. The series is being made under an initiative taken by Ensystems Advisory Private Limited, a niche consulting firm working in the areas of clean energy, electric mobility, climate finance, and greening of rural value chains. Through this module, we aim to inform farmers about the utility of agrivoltaics, an innovative and emerging solution through which they can increase their income from their existing landholding. The series consists of two modules. The first one explains agrivoltaics in general, their benefits, and their successful implementation around the world. The second module explains the financial mechanisms that enables farmers to install agrivoltaics on their farms and the likely financial benefits. Hi, I am Kiran and I am a Krishi Mitra with the government. I am here to talk to you about a new type of initiative that will help you increase your farm income from your existing land holding. Traditional methods of agriculture in India are plagued by a multitude of problems faced by most farmers, such as the irregularity of power supply, unavailability of adequate water for irrigation, and lack of income security. There have been changes in weather patterns in recent years, which have led to unpredictability in the onset of monsoon, due to which crops of many farmers are wasted. Due to fragmented land holdings, it is difficult to just rely on farming income, and hence it is necessary to seek supplementary sources of income. So today, I will be telling you about agrivoltaics, which has been identified as a key technological intervention that can ease away your energy availability concerns and will also supplement your income through the surplus energy that will be generated through solar panels. This module is structured so as to introduce the concept of agrivoltaics and the various aspects of its application. Then we will discuss the type of agrivoltaic systems that are prevalent today, followed by a discussion on the required and recommended conditions for the installation of an agrivoltaic system. Further, the module covers the design aspects of installing an agrivoltaic system. The module further provides some crop combinations based on various research and studies conducted worldwide, and the integration of successful techniques like rainwater harvesting and animal husbandry. Agrivoltaics introduction. In the case of dedicated solar parks, more than 2 acres of land is needed to produce 1 megawatt of electricity. This suggests that investing solely in solar farms with countless solar panels instead of crops will significantly reduce growing of crops. On the other hand, given its reliance on weather and other externalities, traditional farming alone can be a relatively risky strategy. Agrivoltaic installations have the potential to increase land use efficiency, boost resilience, and crop yields if the systems have the right technical design, improve economic viability of activities for landowners, agriculture entities, and solar developers, provide beneficial ecological services, and expand opportunities for solar energy generation. This technology has already been implemented in many countries. India too has immense potential for agrivoltaics to make dual use of the farmlands simultaneously for energy generation and crop production. Some of the major factors that contribute to India being seen as a preferred potential location are: first, India has committed to the installation of renewable energy generation capacity of 450 gigawatts. Agrivoltaics can go a long way towards the realization of that goal. Second, as per the World Bank, 60% of India's land area is farmed compared to the world average of 39%. This makes co-location of photovoltaics and photosynthesis more achievable. Third, many states in India have climatic conditions that favor high levels of solar energy generation. Availability of reliable and free power supply could help augment infrastructure facilities like processing crops, storage, and cold chain facilities to reduce wastage in the agriculture value chain. Types. Agrivoltaics enables land to be used for farming and photovoltaic electricity production at the same time, thus allowing photosynthesis in agriculture as well as production of solar energy. Whereas open agrivoltaic systems can be divided into two categories: elevated overhead photovoltaics or interspace photovoltaics. Let's look into elevated or overhead photovoltaics. PV modules installed in overhead systems are 2.1 meters that is about 6 feet or higher off the ground. Overhead systems use the land directly beneath the PV modules for farming. Overhead installations use the land more efficiently and can give crops greater protection against adverse environmental effects. Some of the favorable crops that can be grown in this system are grapes, berries, short stature fruit trees and delicate vegetables, and fodder crops. Now let's look into the interspace photovoltaics. Interspace systems typically employ the land between photovoltaic modules for agriculture. The main benefits of interspace systems are that they have lower cost and tend to impact the landscape less. Vegetation is primarily grown in between rows of PV arrays, but with proper orientation. Crops can be grown below the panels and below the elevated structure of the panel. Some of the crops favorable for this system are fruits, berries, arable crops, vegetables, alternating grasslands, and fodder. Conditions for installation. The main factors to be taken into account while selecting an appropriate site for agrivoltaics are climate, soil quality, landholding pattern, typology of crops, photovoltaic power potential, and water access. The climate of the region where agrivoltaic systems are to be installed is crucial to determine whether the site is suitable for crop production. The soil quality and access to water for irrigation determined crops can. The landholding pattern in India is highly fragmented. Hence, to make this initiative successful, community efforts are needed so that farmers collaborate together to install agrivoltaic systems in their fields. Photovoltaics potential in India. The snapshot projects data obtained from a World Bank group on the photovoltaic potential of India. In this diagram, the darker regions in the map shows area with higher photovoltaic energy generation potential. Thus, it suggests that the long-term PV potential of India is quite high, with states like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and others having very high potential for PV installations. These factors of installation and design considerations have a profound impact on each other. The crops are affected as follows. Space constraints due to the installation of PV panels, shading due to PV panels affects the crops. Simultaneously, energy generation through PV panels is affected due to space constraints due to more emphasis on crop production and restrictions on the type of PV installation to accommodate crops. Crop selection. Depending on the type and orientation of PV modules, there are 3 modes where cultivation can be done. First, farming between the rows of panels in the interspace region. Second, farming below panels installed in conventional height. And third, farming in the area below elevated structure. The types of crops that can be grown in these 3 modes are different due to impact of shade and space available for the plant to grow. Research and existing practices suggest the different types of crops that were affected. The crops that are generally suggested for interspaces are moong bean, moat bean, isabgol, cumin, chickpea, cluster bean. The crops suggested for shady regions are chili, cabbage, onion, garlic, and medicinal crops like aloe vera. Studies conducted near the Nashik region in India recommended a 3-part agrivoltaic system that could be made up of solar PV, grapes, and a shade-loving crop like the betel leaf. Agroclimatic zones and crop selection. India has a diverse climate and varying geographical features throughout the country, which results in variations in cropping patterns, soil typology, and suitability of crops for different climates throughout the country. Hence, India has been divided into 15 agricultural regions based on agroclimatic features, particularly soil type, climate including temperature and rainfall, and its variations and water resources availability. The agroclimatic features also need to be taken into account while planning for the installation of agrivoltaics, as they affect the choice of crops that can be grown in the system. Agrivoltaic systems have been installed successfully in multiple states of India which belong to different climatic zones. For example, in Uttar Pradesh, which belongs to agroclimatic zone 5, maize, potato, brinjal, mustard onion and garlic. In Karnataka, belonging to Zone 12-2, the yield of vegetables like cauliflower, tomato, lady's finger, chili, lemon, spinach in agrivoltaic zones has been satisfactory. Design considerations. The requirements of agrivoltaic systems are different from normal PV installations because the land used is also being cultivated at the same time. The factors that need to be kept into the consideration are: A. Project capacity. The size of the project depends on the financing and land resources available and impacts the types of agriculture activity. B. Panel and row spacing. To avoid the shade of one PV array on the next array, a separation distance between two arrays is maintained. C. PV module technology. D. Height and alignment of the system. E. Tracking system. Eliminating some misconceptions. Most plant yields are affected by the amount of sunlight they receive. However, not all crops see a decrease in yield, although most of the cereals do. Research has shown that there are some shade-tolerant crops that have been shown to benefit from reduced exposure to excessive heat and better soil moisture retention in hotter seasons. Yield is even increased in certain crops like betel leaves and tulsi. Benefits. Some of the benefits of co-locating PV panels with crops are: PV panels in agrivoltaic systems acts as wind breakers and can reduce wind erosion of soil. Loss of water due to transpiration is reduced, leading to reduced irrigation requirements. It helps to combat desertification and soil degradation. It helps in collecting rainwater for irrigation. Food processing and storage. Challenges. However, there still exist many challenges and threats which can impede the sector from achieving its full potential. The challenges are: high upfront capital investment, lack of support scheme or incentives from government, lack of awareness, end of life management, theft of electricity, and competition from large projects. There is need for government support to generate a lack of trust among people and financial incentives to overcome the high upfront costs barriers and nudge people towards adopting agrivoltaics. Integration with other approaches. First, rainwater harvesting. It is possible to collect and store rainwater from the top surface of PV modules in such systems. The stored water is to be used for washing PV panels, providing supplemental irrigation for the crops to be grown, and cleaning the deposited dust from top surface of PV modules. B. Sprinklers. Mini sprinklers can be used for cultivation of crops like isabgol, chickpea, etc., while micro sprinklers can be used for cultivation of cucumber, tomatoes, etc. C. Animal husbandry. The area beneath the panels can also be used for grasslands and fodder crops, which can be used for cattle rearing. Further, the advantage of an uninterrupted and free power supply can be harnessed to develop an extended rural value chain ecosystem comprising of processing plants, storage, and cold chain facilities. Conclusion. Food, energy, water nexus. With prices for PV modules dropping by almost 90% between 2009 and 2019, photovoltaics is currently the cheapest renewable energy technology. From an environmental standpoint, solar power has great support as well. In the case of agrivoltaics, this results in a significant reduction in the amount of land used. Photosynthesis and photovoltaics can work in conjunction with each other rather than competing with each other. Agrivoltaics can help reduce water consumption in agriculture, generate stable additional sources of income for farms, and make many farms more resilient against crop losses. Thus, the application of agrivoltaics leads to the creation of a food energy nexus by ensuring a judicious and optimum use of these resources. Thank you.